Irreverent, entertaining, cool. You're listening to LA Talk Radio.
You're listening to the Sheena Metal Experience with your host, Sheena Metal, right here on LA Talk Radio.
That's right. It's the Sheena Metal Experience right here on LA Talk Radio. For more info on the show, latalkradio.com, SheenaMetalExperience.com. Don't forget to email me and let me know what you think of the show and my fabulous guests. If you're looking for me on social media, it couldn't be easier. I'm just at Sheena Metal everywhere. That's Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, YouTube, LinkedIn, and my very old Pinterest page. Still fun, but I'm not allowed to go there because I become too obsessed. Also, I'm the founder of a movement of peace and love and kindness and unity. We're at IamRaisingTheVibration.com and now at our new nonprofit hub, which is raisingthevibration.org. And I also have a spiritual practice at IamRaisingYourVibration.com and at SheenaMetalSpiritual.com. Please join me there. And if you're around tomorrow afternoon, I am teaching a webinar about the magic of crystals. It's called I Never Met a Crystal I Didn't Like. And we're at meetthecrystals.com, 6 o'clock Pacific to 7:30. Hope to see you there. If you can't make it live, you can always watch another time. And then, of course, on Saturday, October 12th, it's my interfaith service at the Founders MCC Church in Hollywood, where I am pastored. SaturdayNightSpiritual.com is how you can watch if you can't make it. If you're in LA and you want to come on down. I'd love to see you. And that's all the excitement for me for today, except for this wonderful show and my exciting new guest who's going to be here with me for the whole show. He's a medium, a hypnotherapist, a healer, and a lot of other things you're going to hear about in the next 2 hours, and is part of the wonderful people putting together the Empowered Living Expo at the Newmont Center in Agora Hills on Sunday, the 13th of October. I am honored to say I'm going to be a part of it. I will be down there doing my psychic thing and so excited to do so. Welcome to the show. The wonderful Nick Newmont is here. How are you, my friend? It's good to have you here.
Good, Sheena. How are you?
Wonderful. So excited to have you on the show. And our mutual friends, Becca and Carolyn Hennessy, fixed us up. And knew, and you were very good about pursuing me because I get busy. And aren't you lovely? And I'm so glad you're here. And I'm so excited to just do spirit talk for 2 hours.
Absolutely. Let's have fun.
So tell my listeners, because it's your first time here, sweetheart, a little bit about you. How'd you start? A little bit about your spiritual journey that led you to here. And where are you from?
Agora Hills. That's where the office is.
Right, but where'd you grow up?
Western Pennsylvania, near Pittsburgh.
Beautiful.
Right.
Okay. And how'd you wind up in this crazy place?
At that time, job change and life change. And, economy dictated California was better than Pennsylvania.
Okay. And that was before you were full-time in the spiritual arts.
If you told me 35 years ago this is what I'd be doing today, I would have said you're crazy.
You and me both, kid.
Right?
It's a calling, right?
Truly.
One day universe just says it's you. And I knew for a while. I didn't always know. I knew for a while I had it. But after my mom died, really one day, months after she died, we had a little presidential election with the results on her birthday. And everything was blowing up around me, and universe said, it's you. Come on, here we go. I really do believe it's a calling. Was it like that for you? You got called into service?
It's interesting how life will take changes that in the moment, it doesn't make sense. What's wrong? How many more steps am I going to fall down? And your life, you know the life that you have, and that's what you try to hold on to. And that was prior marriage, career of about 19 years.
Doing what?
I was in the fashion industry.
Okay, all right. So at least that part of your brain, and still channeling art and fun. Still channeling something artistic.
And you said crystals earlier. Yes,
right.
We're way into crystals with the healing.
Oh, yeah.
What we sell and all that. Oh, yeah. Yeah, we can play with crystals.
Oh, I love that. I love that story.
So
do you have any on you? I always want to see people's crystals. Where's everyone? Okay, yeah. Okay, good.
Yeah. And I have some toys that nobody else has.
Oh, nice.
So when you come to the expo, yeah.
Oh, good. I get to play with toys.
So, look, like everyone else, everyone has a story, and when everything seemed like it was going wrong,
right?
I met a lot of people that were spiritual, they were psychic, they were metaphysical. All of a sudden, those people started coming into my life, and I always had a curiosity about psychic phenomena, astrology especially.
Sure.
And then the teachers started coming into my life, and my life took this turn. And then I woke up in the middle of the night looking in the mirrors, that where I was at that time, And there was a spirit, and I was able to identify that with my mother as her great-grandmother that had died many years ago. So there was an appearance that took place, and so I knew that the spiritual doors were opening up, and it took off from there. But the funny thing is, the spirits that came around me and were trying, we all resistant in the beginning, to direct me, the communication was basically like this, kind of like the mafia. Do it our way, you'll have everything that you want. And truer words never said.
You know, it's and mine was the same. There was so much. My mom had just died, and now I was planning her memorial, and 4 days before her memorial, which she had died in March, but we wanted to have the memorial around her birthday. Suddenly, people were like, I'm not coming because this person is voted for this person, and they're going to be there. No, I'm not coming and it was so much craziness. And I thought, you know what? I'm going to get through this memorial. I'm going to sell everything, and I'm going to move to Ireland where my people come from, and I'm just going to go have a different life. And I was walking to my car, and Spirit said, okay, so here's what you're going to do. So you're going to pull over right now. You're going to get this URL. You're going to start this nonprofit. You're going to start this movement. It wasn't nonprofit. I didn't get down that loud until later. It's peace, love, kindness, and unity. Those are your cornerstone words. This is what your mother wants. This is what it's going to be called, and go. And they don't ask.
Right.
They just say. It's a gentle, loving, nudging calling. But there is definitely this is how it's going to be, and now go do this.
Right. And also our immediate spirit guides, they have karma too in the astral plane.
Sure.
They have a job to do. So that's why they do become insistent. And if you don't do it right away, the voice gets a little louder and a little louder and a
little more insistent. And if nothing else works, then they send Archangel Michael to come and tell you, and then you'll definitely do it after that. I was good though. I did it in the beginning. But yeah, I always tell my clients, for me, that spirit guides are almost like celestial caseworkers. They're kind of assigned to you.
They are,
and their work is also to make sure you have a good life.
Right.
It's not just that it's about you and they just kind of hang around and go, well, we hope you do the right thing. I mean, that's their job at home.
Truly. They have karma in the astral plane. Yes.
And we all have jobs when we're home, I think. All things that we do. Maybe not everybody. Like some people don't work here. But pretty much I think that people think you just go sit on a cloud and cherubs come and fly around you. No. The universe is busy, people. So for you, what was the moment of knowing that this was something you wanted to do with your life, even if at that time you didn't know it was going to be what you wanted to do with your whole life?
Well, along that time, and that was in like 1991, 92, I was introduced to a psychic at that point, lovely older woman, and that was my first experience getting a formal reading. And what she told me, without knowing anything about me, was very enlightening. And then I started to meet others. And then there was, well, why aren't you doing this? And so a couple of them sort of opened the door, and then I saw where it could go. And then I met my teachers, and I formally studied astrology, numerology, cards, healing processes. I went to 2 different formal hypnotherapy schools. So the 90s were all about education for me. And then I've turned that around, and I teach all that too.
Yeah.
Now,
right?
At our institution.
Right. You teach everything you learned.
Yes.
That I think is wonderful. I mean, I think that's sort of a really beautiful part of it. That universe sort of imparts wisdom onto you, and then it's teach a man to fish, right?
Right.
It's from the Bible. And then you turn around and then you impart that wisdom on others.
Truly.
And that's how the global vibration rises.
Right. We keep pulling each other up. Right. And then, I loved doing the psychic work, but I found, and maybe you found this too, there is a level of frustration as to you can be extremely accurate, but sometimes people don't always do take the information, run with it.
Yeah.
And so I felt frustration, but I converted that into becoming a hypnotherapist so I could empower people and help people get what they wanted. Yeah.
I have a lot of friends that are light workers that have a hard time with that. I think it's easier for me because when I come from my mother was a secret psychic medium. She did her work on the down low, but she was a therapist and a teacher. And my grandmother was a psychologist. And I basically consider myself a minister. So I think when you're ministering or when you're a therapist, people come and they tell you all their stuff and you do your best.
Right.
But sometimes they don't change it. And you can't make them.
That's right.
Nobody can make anybody, just like I can't make a client's person fall back in love with them. I can't make
Right.
the client do what they need to do. I can see their path, but I can't make them get on it. I can just keep lovingly suggesting. You know, it would be great. Remember that whole path? Let's get back on that. But I think that's more so. But I think some people get into it with thinking that it's going to be, I give you my lofty wisdom and then you do it right away and you get fixed. But it doesn't, humans are a stubborn animal. And my mama used to say, just smart enough to be dangerous.
Right. Well, people, no matter what modality they're using, they have to do the work. And as much as I do high-end healing work, metaphysics and spirituality and belief system does not displace psychology. We have to work through how we've been conditioned and
Absolutely.
our experiences. And that is, there's a saying that is floating around more and more called a spiritual bypass. And if people think that they're going to read things and watch things and everything is going to fall in their lap, it's not.
Right.
We have to work through things. We have to process.
Right. Well, I think that's the difference in talking the talk and walking the walk. And it's a lot easier to take all the classes and to be able to spit it all back out to somebody than it is to actually digest what you've learned. And then the hardest part, right, Nick, is to apply it to your own life.
Truly.
And then actually make the changes, because there's a responsibility that comes with walking your walk and with walking with spirit, because you go into contract with spirit to become what my mama used to call a citizen of the universe. And so you everybody on the earth has their thing that we have to do, and by each of us doing our thing, the whole of everything runs better. But some people don't want that responsibility. Some people are just terrified of responsibility. And it's sometimes you have to convince them that living that way is so much more fulfilling, and they'll be happier. And like you said, everything that you ever wanted will happen for you.
Right.
You just have to get on the right path.
And people have to learn to be comfortable with, because it's so easy to get into fear, which is untruth. And then on the other side, there's truth and love. And people have to learn how to convert the fear into love, into power, and process that.
Yes.
And the anticipation of going through and the anxiety of going through something most of the time is worse than actually doing the work and getting to the result. But people have a great fear of the unknown.
Yes.
And that gets in their way.
Yeah, I agree. And also I think people, just the smart enough to be dangerous part, right? People just think they know best. No, I know what I want. And I don't know about you, but I grew up in the entertainment business, so sort of like the fashion business, but different. This side of entertainment, acting and performing arts and this. And the day that I stopped telling the universe what my career was going to be and started saying, okay, I don't have any idea, so you all just show me what I need to do and I'll do it, was the day that everything shifted in my career. Because universe, they don't care what you think. You can throw your opinions into the wind, but they don't necessarily always, that's not your path, just because you decide that's what you want.
Right.
And one of the things that I think sometimes where I part ways with some of my, very, very new age folks, although I used to think I was as new age as they came, but apparently there's a fundamental new age that's bypassed me. It's this whole idea like, well, I tell universe what I want. It's like, okay, but then where's the learning? If you know everything and you're so big and tough that you can tell the universe everything about your path and you're not learning anything, then why are you sent back here in an uncomfortable meat suit? Because if we don't have anything to learn, we don't need to come back here. We take our job at home and we don't need to be back here. So it's nice to think, right? I mean, it's nice to think. Isn't that so nice that you can tell the universe exactly what you want? But obviously there's a reason why. And I'll say to my clients, Nick, even I'm still here, which means I'm having a human experience and I'm learning lessons too. Or, I'd be somewhere being entertained with cherubs spinning around me, eating cotton candy on a cloud,
No, it's just a reality check.
Yeah.
And we have, going back into the 80s, and we've gotten into New Age and the harmonic convergence. I mean, it's been beautiful.
Yes, it's
as
wonderful.
As things are becoming more mainstream, but it's not a fad. And, spirituality in its purest form is thousands of years old. We have colored it with beliefs and religion and idealisms and, just keep layering it on.
Yes.
But the purity of spirituality is being in spirit.
Yes.
You know?
Exactly. Yes. And learning, this is Soul School. And every incarnation's a semester, and they get harder as you go, just like school. People say, why is it so hard? I become so enlightened and I'm doing all the work and it's just hard. I said, well, you know what? College is harder than second grade.
Right.
So the farther you go, the harder the lessons get. But with that also comes the surety of knowing you can do the work, in the way that when you're in fourth grade and someone gives you an essay to write, it freaks you out. When you're in college, you're like, oh, another essay, I can kick this thing out. So
Right.
it's it does get easier, but the lessons get bigger.
Well, there's a couple ways I put that to my clients. One, when we get to karma, and most of society has the completely wrong definition of karma.
Right.
Everybody sees it as, most people see it as retribution and stuff like
Right.
that.
It's coming to get you.
Yeah, it's lessons we have to learn, but learning karmic lessons are not exercises in futility.
Right.
If you have a karmic lesson, say money, and once you learn the lesson, it goes from not having to having. Same thing with relationships. Whatever the karma is, once we really learn the lesson, whatever we don't have or whatever the problem is, it becomes something good. So there's a reward in karma. Then when people get upset about problems that come into their life, the problems that a person endures is indigenous to your soul and why you came into this lifetime.
Right.
You know, if you're a TV repairman and in this lifetime you've got this box of tools, you only have problems to fix that are TVs and video equipment. You don't get plumbing problems. So when people face something they've never faced before, and this came up with a client today, it's not because you're meant to be throttled, it's because this is a new lesson, but you have the ability to solve this problem.
Yes. Yeah, exactly.
The gods are not up on Mount Olympus with lightning bolts going like, well, let's screw with her today.
No.
Doesn't
no,
work like that.
No, but I understand in primitive thinking with the way the universe works, why primitive man thought that's what was happening. Because I still get that from clients all the time, and Nick, you probably do too. Why does the universe hate me? Why does the universe hate me? Why are they all out to get me? Why aren't I being acknowledged? It's like, because you're not listening. You're talking at universe. You're not opening up the channel, and they're trying to tell you all this cool stuff for your life, but you're just like when a kid decides he wants to go for ice cream and he's yelling, and after a while, mom's saying, "Okay, we'll go for ice cream," but he's not listening because he's so busy screaming.
Right.
And that's the thing. You're so busy screaming that you're not getting your way.
Right.
That you're not even realizing that universe is like, no, all that stuff you want, we want to bring you all that. We really do, but you're just not listening.
Right, exactly. And when people say the universe hates me, one thing I would just say, well, look, the universe is benevolent. There is no hate.
Right.
Exactly. So let's remove the hate.
Yeah.
Right away.
Yeah. But now, what do you think happens? Because I'm going to hit you with a hard one now. We're going to get right into it at 19 minutes in. What do you think happens universally for extremely not okay behaviors that people can have?
You mean
like abusing
afterlife?
another person, or how do you think universe feels about if universe sends you down here in goodwill with your set of life lessons, and then you like rape everybody in sight, or put cats in a sack and throw them in the river? What do you think the universe thinks of that?
Okay, so this is what it was explained to me by angelic hierarchy.
Okay.
Okay. This is not
The big
my,
guys.
Yeah. This is not my opinion. This is what I was told. When we leave the physical form, it's not judgment day the way we're taught.
Right.
You're good or bad.
It's not the Judeo-Christian judgment day.
Right. That's exactly right. And they said that pointing finger at man, you're the one that's judgmental. We don't judge you.
Right.
When you come over, what determines going into another lifetime is how much you filled the vessel with love. And if it's a lower percentage, then you're going to reincarnate into another lifetime whenever that is. It's not moving forward linearly. We go to where the opportunity to love is. But I asked them, what about someone like Charles Manson? Because
Right.
at the time he was alive. And they said to me, well, he didn't exactly commit acts of love, did he? So in other words, you go to a lifetime where the learning to love and getting to love is more difficult. That's what I was told. And I was also told in this same channeling that there is no hell. That this worry, health problems, strife, lack, that's hell. They said the universe is benevolent. There is
Right.
no place. You may experience discomfort in non-physical form until you reincarnate. But they said no, it's not like that.
Yeah, I feel a lot of times when folks are looking for their loved ones in sessions, especially the ones that maybe did not live their most acts of love life.
Sure.
Oftentimes they can't be found right after they pass, and I think it's because there's how the messages get delivered to me is that there's sort of like a temporary place that maybe you have to have a little sit down with the universe before you can actually start either coming back and talking to Earth people again or actually thinking about reincarnating. You have to do a period where it's like, okay, well, you need to sort of think about that. Like gentle, tough love. Like maybe we need to think about what we did last time. And maybe you need to take some, like traffic school. Right. Maybe we need to do a little bit of school. You need to sit in some sessions about why we don't, kick dogs next time you're reincarnated. Right. And it's interesting how sometimes you can't find them. Or sometimes they hide in the ethers in the back and you can see them, but they almost look shameful and they won't speak. They just sort of stand back from, some spirits are like in your face, right? They're like, I'll talk next. No, me. And then sometimes clients will be like, no, but I really want to talk to my dad because we have all this stuff to work out. And I can see him like in a corner, kind of in the shadows, but he's not talking. And then humans get so upset. They don't understand. But I think sometimes you're working it out. I think sometimes when you leave here, you're like, okay, done, completed and ready to go. Sometimes people who graduate from high school are ready to go to college and some need a gap year. Maybe you need a gap year at home to sort of figure out how you can not blow it next time.
Some of my mentors years ago, put it in interesting ways that were analogies. Like that holding period, they would refer to it as emigration, like processing papers until you can go to the next level.
Yeah.
And there is a holding period for some people where. And then the other thing is when I know people would like to talk to deceased relatives, but sometimes those relatives are not accessible because they're doing something.
Yeah, they're busy.
And one of my teachers said, don't always tug on deceased relatives because it's like calling them at work. What do you want? I'm working.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Then there's those like my mom that you don't have to call her. She just like shows up. Every time I'm in a seance with people, which is not very often, but I do them sometimes. Everybody's always like, who's the woman who's like, oh God, it's mom. Because, she very much, I have all these, medium friends that are like, it takes 4 months before they're accessible. 45 minutes after she died, boom, she was right there. Hi. And big as can be, like big, like she was when I was a kid, when she was my age, big. Not as she got older and in a frail body that she hated. And she very much has become like a guiding spirit for me and definitely helps me with all the work that I do, which is great. And sometimes you find very present ones around people. Sometimes not so much.
Right. It's different for everybody.
Now what about you? Do you work? You work with your guides, you work with angelics, you work with
all of them.
Yeah.
All of them. But my main spirit guide is Merlin.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah.
Okay.
And I do channel him. I do absentee channel Merlin.
Okay. Merlin from the King Arthur lore?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. And there are other people that channel Merlin too. He's very present.
Okay.
And when the interesting thing is that, and at the expo on the 13th, I will do an hour of that.
Ooh.
And it's fascinating that at that event, I have a friend, Alexandra, who channels a group of spirits called Golden Arrow in the same way that she has quantified that name, the way Esther Hicks refers to a group of spirits that she just simply calls Abraham. Those spirits were never in physical form. Merlin was in physical form.
Right.
And so he can relate to the human condition. And he's very real the way he talks. He's not fluffy. In fact, he's kind of old and grizzled.
Merlin, we're sorry we said you were grizzled. Please don't haunt me.
No, not at all.
How does he differ in your dealings with him, Nick, from what people think about from the stories of King Arthur and Camelot and Merlin?
Well, first of all, he's not as he's not a Disney wizard. Okay.
There's no Fantasia. He's not dancing with a broom.
No. But in his, he was an advisor and a sage, to the round table. And so when Merlin speaks, he speaks in a very direct and philosophical way in the way he sees things. And sometimes people ask questions, and Merlin will say, well, if you have the knowledge to ask the question, then you know the answer, which he'll mess with you in that regard, not in a mean way, but and he's intense.
Yeah.
You know, and when I channel him, anyone that's seen that knows that it's not me. Facial changes, voice really changes.
Wow. Do you have to go looking for him, or does he sometimes just show up?
No,
Yeah, you never have to go look for them, but I wanted you to tell people.
No, he's always right there. And Merlin has done things for me. Sorry if I cut you off.
No, I'll come. I remember.
I have some interesting stories about Merlin demonstrating his presence. There's 3 different stories. One is funny, one is wow, and the other one is whoa. Okay?
Yeah.
So some years ago, I'm playing tennis with a friend of mine, and because we played mid-afternoon when no one was around, they always gave us center court, which is a stadium.
Right.
And my friend hated that because we're visible and accessible. So I guess kindergarten's getting out, 2-ish, whatever. 2 moms and 2 little girls go to the snack bar, and they're sitting front row chatting away. Now, tennis is like golf, it's like church.
Right.
Quiet. All right. So I looked at him, I looked at them, and it's like, do I have to go over and tell them to be quiet? Then I went, no, Merlin. Within seconds, this huge crow came out of nowhere and was hovering above them, squawking.
Fantastic.
They went running. My friend looked at me, and I said, Merlin, and he just lost it. I'm telling you, it was in seconds Merlin came.
Wow.
And he does take crow form.
Yeah, as many do.
Right.
Yeah.
Yes, they
birds,
do change.
and I always say that birds are like the craftiest transmediums. A bird will hop right out and let a spirit in, and then hop right back in. As a matter of fact, when my mom was hummingbird, so when she was alive, hummingbirds would hover around her. They would literally hover outside the screen where she would sit in the family room, and I'd call her and say, "What are you doing, Mom?" She's like, "I'm just sitting here with my birds." And when she passed, I started seeing them everywhere, and I knew they were her. And once I was going to clean out her house, and I had been there in about a week, and the house was completely locked up. And there was one in a closed room in my old bathroom when I lived there. The door was closed. The house was locked. I went in. I opened up the door, and there was a hummingbird sitting on the vanity light. There's no way that bird could have gotten in the house, and then it wouldn't leave. I literally had to cut the screen and pin it up and leave the window open, and I had to leave so it would leave. And a lot of times there'll be one, since she died, will hover up here, and guests will say, "Is that a hummingbird? I've never seen one 4 stories up." And I'm like, yep. And sometimes when it's a really deliberate thing, it'll literally get in my face. I'm like, I know, Mom. I know. I have a hard time letting things go. And my credit got really bad from a relationship that was worse. And my last car before this one, my mother had to co-sign for the lease, and she literally died 2 weeks later. So when it was time to give the lease up in May, it was really hard for me.
Sure.
Because it was the last thing I had that she had done, and it reminded me of that time when they literally drove to Newport Beach, and she signed the papers in the rehab center. And I didn't want to do it, and I put it off, but they kept extending it for me, and finally Mercedes was like, "We're not extending." And it was the day I had to go pick up the car, and I was so dreading letting this car go. And I was walking out to the car thinking, and my knees were really bad at the time. It's when my knees were horrible. I'm like, I don't want to do this. It was probably the worst day my knees were in the whole since my injury. And all of a sudden I looked up, and this hummingbird, it was literally, Nick, in my face. And I could hear its little wings going, and everywhere I would walk in, I'm like, okay, I get it. Give the car back. I get it. It's just a car. Give it back. I got it. So, but I love that. I love the way that birds let spirits in.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
Birds are awesome. We should be able to open the channel as easily as birds do. Birds have it all figured out.
Well, in the message that I'm getting for you with the hummingbird and all that, and talk about birds, is simply just lighten up.
Yeah, you think? Yeah, and I have a lot. I have so much that I wish I had lightened up that much when she was alive. But I know that there is no not alive, so I know
Right.
that she sees everything now.
Right.
What I was going to say earlier was that I think that for me, the way that Merlin differs the most from the lore is that in the lore, it was always like the guys around the table, and then Arthur would sneak off and talk to Merlin in a dark cove. The truth is he was a lot more a part
Right.
of the advisory panel
That's
of what
true.
went on in that kingdom, because throughout history, there have been mystics and seers and wizards that were part of that, but we kind of pulled them out of the history books to make it seem like it's a forbidden thing. So,
Well, yes, it was accepted back then. It's like what you just said triggered a memory. It's like the criticism that Ronald Reagan got because Nancy saw a psychic.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah.
And it's been mocked that. Okay.
Yeah.
But yes, Merlin was present at the round table. Yeah, he was accepted because he is the one that basically put it together.
Sure. Yeah.
So, but there's a couple more Merlin stories.
Please.
And the moral to this story is when you meditate a lot and one is in touch with their spirit guides on a regular basis, like talking to a friend, good, bad, or indifferent, those guides are more, they're quicker to help you
Yes.
as opposed to, like Tooter the Turtle and Mr. Wizard, always getting into trouble.
Right.
And so a chunk of years ago, I was summoned to jury duty downtown. Two of my attorney friends said, tell them you're a psychic. They're not going to want you because you'll influence it. All right. I don't know if you've had this experience.
Oh, yes. Yeah. I just write a letter and tell them I'm a psychic. They don't even make me go down. When they send the jury thing, I say, God, I'd love to come, but I'm a psychic medium, and I'm usually really good at picking guilt. And I never hear another word. I think they've just stopped sending me summons now. That's
smart. And I haven't gotten one in.
Yeah, you're in the crazy pile too.
Yeah, definitely. So, as it turns out, with all the people that were in the courtroom, it was a gang murder case. The judge said, who's uncomfortable serving on this case? 3/4 of the courtroom left, and so there were about 20 of us left that had to be weeded out. And the assistant district attorney did everything she could to discredit me. And make me look foolish. And I was saying, well, I've got preconceived notions on this. And finally, when she got in my face, I looked out of the corner of my eye and I saw a flash of light, and the big door that leads from the juror's room to the courtroom that's used in trial opened and slammed. And she turned red as a fire engine, got out of my face, walked over to the judge. He looked over at me and said, prospective juror number 4, you are dismissed.
Forever. Right. Thanks, Merlin.
Right. Oh, and Merlin had enough. And then the other story is teaching meditation and channeling. One night in front of the group, I channeled Merlin, and I lit my cauldron, my incense burner with Merlin incense. Well, we all know that when you light incense, even if there's a little bit of air in the room, it wafts all over the place.
Sure.
So when Merlin came in, I was sitting on the floor. He was demonstrating his concept of dragon's breath. The incense froze. It surrounded my body like a cocoon, like I was floating in that smoke.
Wow.
And sparks are coming up, as I'm channeling, and I don't know this. And at some point you interview my wife. She was there for that event. And then when I came back in, the smoke just disappeared. And people said that was the craziest thing they've ever seen.
Wow.
Because Merlin let everyone know that he's present.
Yeah. Yeah.
So it's fascinating working with him.
Wow. That's wonderful. Why do you think you? I mean, what do you think the connection is between the two of you that of all the people in the world, he picked you and the universe put the two of you together? I mean, you said he works with other people too,
right.
but I think there's always some kind of a connection, usually, of some kind.
Without sounding too hokey, I've passed life with him.
Okay, there you go. Yeah, that's it.
Yep, we know each other.
I was going to say it, but I didn't want to say it in case
It's all right.
you don't want me to say it. But yeah, and I think that's a lot of what it is.
Right.
Yeah, or there's sometimes there's a similar ethereal essence to you that matches theirs. I think sometimes that's a match for a spirit too.
Sure.
Guide too. Like my mother was an Archangel Michael girl. When I said the joke about Archangel Michael, my mom was such an Archangel Michael girl that she named everything Michael. Everything in her life she named Michael or Mike or Mickey, because that's just what she was. And she, but she had that same thing in her, that big, strong, didn't suffer fools sense of she used to call it universal justice, the righting of the scales. She was very much about that, she's like, oh, that person's just upsetting the balance of the universe. That's what she used to say when people behaved badly.
Hummingbird.
There it is.
It was right there.
Told you. I'm talking about her. There she is. Yeah. She's like, look, it's me. Because she's excited because I talked about Archangel Michael. But that was very much her. That was her thing. So I think sometimes you match with an angelic or
Sure.
a spirit or a guide or whatever, that for whatever reason your energy fits theirs well.
And also, some people know this and some don't, that the hierarchy of what's known as the archangels, they are ancestors, and your archangelic ancestor chooses you. So some people answer to Raphael or Gabriel or Michael, Michael, and Michael is my main archangel. So it's funny you're talking about that, but they choose us. We hail from the different archangels, not that they were ever physical, but where there is a delineation.
Right. I didn't know that. That's interesting.
And it shows up in the kind of energy work that I do that's done on the soul level. They'll come through and all of a sudden they'll claim, one of them will say, yes, he or she's mine. And when you study those angels and what they do, what they're meant to do, like if somebody really comes in as a healer, then almost automatically they answer to Raphael. If they're a message bringer, they answer to Gabriel. But it's fun to learn, who belongs to who, and the universal tree.
Absolutely. And do you think it's hard sometimes to explain to folks about how sometimes people think that the angels are like your spirit guides, like there's an archangel and they only work for you. It's like, it doesn't really, I always say that angel, like I said before, spirit guides are like your caseworkers. Angels are like firemen or police. Like they might work in your neighborhood, but they pretty much belong to the neighborhood. They belong to everybody and they come when they're needed. So you don't get like like an angel that's just yours. Like, oh yeah, Archangel Gabriel is just going to be mine till I die. It doesn't work like that.
Well, and what's baffling too is angels are everywhere simultaneously.
Right.
Which that's hard to wrap your head around.
Right. So, there's so many things I want to ask you. So what was the first thing that you got into when you started doing spiritual work? What was the first aspect of spirituality that you really started?
In terms of a media that I was studying, astrology was the first thing, and it takes a while. It went from astrology to numerology, and then eventually reading cards and palmistry. It was like that.
Yeah, all the sciences.
All the sciences, yes. I love the sciences.
That's wonderful. What do you like about cards still? Because obviously you don't need cards to read.
They're fun, and for some people it gives them pictorial evidence of something, and there's a synchronicity that sometimes you say, I'm sure you've done this, where you say something, then you turn the card, and what you've said is that card.
Yeah.
You sort of read the cards before you turn them.
Yeah. Yeah.
So it's fun, and look, there are people who are very advanced metaphysically and spiritually, and they just want you to channel. Just tell me what you see. And then there are people who are still newbies that they want to see the evidence.
Right.
And then there are people that are scientific, and they'll say, hey, I want you to update my chart. And we'll get into every bit of astrological lingo that's like lawyers reading contracts.
Right. Yeah, absolutely. What about you? What do you like to know for your own chart? What are the things that interest you?
In the day, I don't look at it every day. I'm not that OCD.
Right.
Sometimes.
Right.
I'll look at it. I'll look and see where the progressed moon is, because that's where I'm emotionally compelled to do things. I'll look a lot at where Jupiter and Saturn are, because one is where growth is, and one is where obstacles or lessons need to be, or just a reality check.
Yeah.
And then, of course, where those planets are aspecting the natal planets, too.
Right.
I mean, you wake up one day and Uranus is squaring your Mars, and it's accident prone.
Right.
Probability, or Saturn is opposing Mars. It's like, well, you need to be conservative.
Right.
I look at it as probabilities and tendencies, but I don't go, oh my God, I can't do this today. Like, for instance, when I post on Facebook, and I'll do a few things a month, especially moon cycles, full moon, new moon, and other like planets going retrograde. This is my language. Okay, I should probably trademark this. I tell people, yes, this is going on and this is challenging, but do not subscribe to astrological paranoia.
Right. Yes. Yes,
And
I
that's
agree.
like, I can't this and I can't that, and there's moon wobble, and it's like,
Yeah.
oh my God.
Because there's always something.
There's always something.
No matter at any given minute of any given hour of day, of week, of year, of decade, there is something going on in here
Right.
that could be good or bad. You could spend
Exactly.
your whole life obsessed with it and still never get it right. There's too much to cater to all of your houses and all of your planets every single minute. I mean, you drive yourself crazy.
And the worst thing is when an amateur has read something and they come in touting that they can't do something, and I've asked them, well, who did you study with? Where did you get this?
Right.
Well, I go, don't
Right.
do that.
Right.
It's like, reading health issues on the internet.
Right. Oh,
Don't
God,
self-
never do that.
Don't
No.
self-diagnose.
No, never do that. I did that once and it scared me for 6 months. Never get off the internet. Yeah, but it's that idea again of wanting to be the one that has all the answers without ever being the student. It's maybe we're not supposed to know everything for every given second of our lives, because then you're not experiencing anything.
Right.
You know?
Yeah, I agree totally.
But some people want that. They're like, I just wish I had all the answers to everything that's going to happen in my life. And I'm like, then you could just go home. Why are you here?
Right.
You could just go home. The cherubs are waiting to give you a cotton candy. Just go home. I mean, it's the point of being here is to not know what's going on, to enjoy the experience of.
Right. It's the journey, not the destination.
Yeah. Yeah.
Enjoy it along the way.
That's why in a lot of my work, and probably yours too, like, look, I'm happy to be a predictive psychic and tell you when this and that and this is going to happen if you want. But I always kind of incorporate into it your life lessons and your growth and your path.
Truly.
So that you're learning something from what's coming up. You're not just calling me every 5 seconds, when's my door going to open? When's somebody going to knock on my door? When's the Amazon package coming? It's like you have to live your life. Do you know what I mean? You have to live your life.
Right.
And because part of the lesson here, and I tell clients this all the time, part of a lot of our spiritual lessons here, and when I was younger, it was very much one of mine. Part of the spiritual lesson is to learn to just be in the now and live in the isness and be okay and not have 400% of the answers. Just be like, okay,
Right.
I don't know what's coming, but I'm ready for it and I'm enjoying every minute.
Well, and also, too, that if you don't know what's coming, if the person doesn't know what's coming, then go into creation. Go into creative thought
Right.
to make that happen. Manifest it.
Right. Yeah, exactly.
Because with my new students that come to take meditation, and if I ask, how many of you have never meditated, and put up their hand, I go, well, you have meditated, and of course they look at me puzzled. Have you ever daydreamed? Yeah. Have you ever sat and worried? Yeah. I said, well, worry is negative affirmation meditation.
Exactly. It's bad meditation.
Right,
It's
exactly.
meditation without acts of love.
Right.
Exactly.
I said, so you've meditated.
Yeah, exactly. That's like people say, I don't pray. I'm like, really? I don't pray. I don't believe in prayer. I'm like, really? Have you ever wished for anything? Well, yeah, that's a prayer.
That's a prayer.
If you sit and randomly out loud say, gosh, I wish I get that job, who do you think you're talking to? You're in a room by yourself. So universe is always listening. They're like, oh, you want that job? Okay, now we heard. But some people, I think so many people, and I'm sure you deal with this too, so many folks are just trying to unlearn everything that they have been taught by people in organized religions, and they're trying so hard to rebel against it. I'm like, don't throw the baby out with the bathwater.
Right.
Don't blame God for acts of man.
Oh, no doubt. No doubt.
But
There's always something to be had from everything we've done.
mm-hmm.
And when we're into blame, then we're into victimization.
Mm-hmm.
And it's hard to get moving when you're into victimization.
Yes,
Because then you're always looking over your shoulder.
absolutely. Absolutely. It's so true. That's wonderful.
My wife, she has a saying, and it's done lovingly with clients and the way she works. She goes, sometimes you just got to slap them, and that's a gentle, compassionate thing.
Just slap people, but with acts of love.
Right.
Use acts of love when you're slapping. That's fantastic.
AXE, acts of
Acts
love.
of love. Exactly. Hashtag acts of love.
Wow.
Yeah, exactly. Right, exactly. Then slap. So you brought charts.
I did bring charts. And by the way, I'm going to go back to an old
Please.
thing, okay, because this is part of the evolution. Then I'll do this, and we're going to talk about interesting things going forward. So the topic of, do it our way, and what I'm going to tell everyone, this is the coolest story and how this works. So when I went through the 90s and had been divorced, and I had a lot to learn. I had to learn as a Libra why the relationships weren't working out. I had to learn that I was doing too much, and doing things for people doesn't keep them in a relationship with you.
Nor is it good for them.
Right. I had to learn that. And when I got it, when I really got it, then I began this period where the women that were coming toward me were more spiritual, more conscious. They weren't there yet. But what I learned was, okay, when you see it's not working, excuse yourself. Don't continue. And every time I did that, nope. You know, because if you tell the universe you're ready for whatever, if you've gone to the great restaurant and you said you want Chateaubriand for 2, and they bring a hamburger, desperate people are going to say, leave it, I'm hungry.
Right.
But when you want what you really want, you have to say, take that back. That's not what I ordered.
Exactly. Right. If only I could send back some of those relationships, like a bad non-Chateaubriand.
Right. Exactly. So hold out for what you want if you believe you're ready for love. So then we get to, this was June of 1999, my annual trip to Maui to just clear out. I had a dream that I go into a parking lot and there's my car at the time, a 4-door sedan, and I open up rear door, and lying across the back seat is a mannequin, a life-size Barbie doll. I'm like, what the heck? And so I'm looking at her, and she's blonde, and then I put my hand at her chest, at her heart, and the eyes open, she came to life. She gets out of the car, gave me a warm kiss, and says, don't worry, I'll always be there for you. Then I dreamed a day or two later about a little girl. Like, oh, this is interesting. And so when I went back home, I told my friends that my family, you know, in quotation marks, is trying to find me. Stopped dating. In September, I threw a birthday party for a mutual friend and go to this restaurant, and one of the guests is her, who now is my wife. And I saw her and I went, oh my God. You know, it was her. And fortunately, I described her to my friends in great detail. So when they saw her, they knew, you know, it was her. But we didn't talk about that until, you know, weeks later. Otherwise, that's a great come on line. I dreamed you.
Yeah, exactly. You know? But you were a Barbie doll, and then you kissed me.
Right.
And then our child showed up. That's how you wind up in a further crazy pile than you are in the jury duty pile, Nick.
Yeah. Security.
Exactly. Here's the stalker.
So we hit it off immediately, started dating, and a couple weeks in, I told her about it, and she was my dream girl, is literally and figuratively.
Isn't that wonderful?
And then the funny thing is, that was September 11th of 1999. It's weird. September 11 for most of the world, 2001 is a terrible thing.
But 9/11.
9/11.
And what year was it?
99.
Oh, okay. Yeah. So
2 years prior. So then...
that's an 11 year, right? 1999.
Right.
So there's another, it's 9/11/11. That's intense.
So then I ready to propose to her on December 11th of 99, 3 months later. And in the proposal, I wrote a poem. Okay. So here's the synchronicity. So Audrey goes into her bedroom. She doesn't answer me. She goes, stay here. She comes out with this velvet bag, and she pulls out this clay heart she made, and it had the word yes on it. So I proposed written. She answered written.
Isn't that wonderful? I'm so glad you guys are so happy. That's so beautiful.
Thank you. Yeah, we just 20 years recently. Last month we met.
Isn't that wonderful?
Yeah. So that's what when you're doing things the right way,
yes,
you will get what you want, and you are rewarded.
Absolutely. That's absolutely true. Yes. But you just all you have to do is stay connected and do the work.
Right.
And I talk about this all the time, especially when I do my Saturday night spiritual services, that the most important relationship you can have is with you. The connection you have to you is the most important. Then spirit, then your connection to the earth, and last your connection with people. Most people do it backwards. They worry about what other people think first, then, oh my God, what does the world think of me? And then, oh my God, is God mad at me? And the last connection they make is with them. And it's like they've just built a house on cards. There's no foundation. And it's hard for people to put themselves first in that sense of connection. And because we're taught like, oh, you're not that important, and don't put yourself first. And there's a difference in being selfish and putting yourself first.
Right.
Like it's okay to say, I got to make sure everything's okay in here first before I venture out of here into the world.
Sure. And self-centered is a good thing. It's not selfish.
Right.
But when people go through the, breakups or they're by themselves, it is about learning the difference between solitude and loneliness. And one puts themselves first, they will learn solitude, which is, it's funny, is you put a U in there and it's solitude.
Yeah. I'm all about it. I never was single in my life from high school. And then I've been single for almost 6 years, and I really learned a lot about me and what I want and what I'll accept and what I won't accept. And I kind of love it. So there is nothing lonely about, because you're not alone. There's people around you all the time.
All the time.
It's not loneliness at all. So you brought a chart for our country, which I think is fascinating. So what different charts did you bring?
Well, when I'm looking at events coming up, I do the chart of the country, the current president, and I also do the New York Stock Exchange too.
Interesting.
Yeah.
For those who are interested in that kind of thing.
Right. Some are.
I certainly am invested in that, literally and figuratively.
So the chart of the country, look, and here we are, early October at this point, and in little more than 3 months, astrologically, the planet Pluto and the planet Saturn are going to align, and they align every 38 years. And they're aligning in the sign of Capricorn. And when you put those two planets together, and Saturn rules Capricorn, and Pluto rules Scorpio, you have the two coldest signs. My apologies to any Capricorns or
interesting.
Or Scorpios, because they're covert, they're very underground.
Okay.
Saturn,
the hummingbird is going to come pee on you, Nick. Where is it? She was a Scorpio. My mother was not the least bit cold, but covert, they are that, man.
Yep.
They will hide and watch, which I think actually, as an Aries who leaps before I think, that was as actually kind of an admirable trait. Sometimes you should sit back and watch. Interesting. My parents were a Scorpio and a Capricorn, so I should be much more covert than I am.
That's intense.
It was bad. It's not a good
very
mix.
Intense.
Not a good mix.
So when these two planets align, it usually creates things that have to be dealt with.
Right.
And I would never I don't use good or bad. I don't like that. I like favorable, disfavorable, probable, improbable.
Okay.
I don't believe anything is etched in stone.
Okay.
When these two planets get together, Saturn is karma and Pluto is transition, transformation, death and rebirth. This is karmic transformation. In other words, we got to pay the talisman come January, because it's something that's going on is going to shift. Personally, when you see Pluto, which is Scorpio, which is occult, underground, covert, I think we find out, and I mean this in a figurative way, we find out next year where the bodies are buried. Remember in Poltergeist at the end of the movie, they didn't exhume.
They popped up out of the pool.
Right. That's what's going to happen.
I think it's yes, and I think we can feel energetically that we're so close to everything just being broken open.
Right.
And it's going to be a bit of a crotch puncher for a country that likes to pride itself on being the big shining white knight. With, oh, look at us, and we rescue everyone else from their little problems. Yeah, it's going to break open like a rancid coconut, and everybody better hold on to their ass. That's my spiritual advice. Hold on to your ass with acts of love. Right.
Yeah, and I would also add to this as we get to that period. I wouldn't say sell the ranch, but be conservative. Let this shake out, because then when we get into March, April, then Jupiter, which is all about expansion, thunder, aligns with Pluto, and that's power struggles. And if anyone has looked at the calendar, that's a presidential election year next year. And with Pluto so prevalent next year, we could have, let me say it like this. Someone could get elected that is so improbable. It could really bring through a dark horse to be elected. Like people would go like, oh my God, we never thought him or her.
Yeah, I think we did that 4 years ago, didn't we?
Yeah, we did.
Yeah.
But he was visible as a person. Everyone knew who he was.
Right.
Okay.
Right. Yes.
I think this could be somebody that they're like so far down the line.
Yeah.
That, and that's not, as I'm saying this, people are probably listening going, well, he's saying Trump is going to lose. No, I'm not saying that.
No, and I'm not saying that either. I don't think the universe has I don't think that's been determined yet.
Nope. Because 4 years ago, when on election day, everything astrologically was favoring Hillary. But I was at a meeting, got out, and I could feel the energy, and I just went, Trump's going to win. I could feel the shift. And so here we are. But in terms of the chart of the country, Pluto and Saturn will align in the second house, which is possessions, where you earn your money, materialism. And so this is going to be some big shift in the monetary system of the country next year. Things are going to get done differently because Pluto is the death and rebirth of something. And karma means lessons learned.
Yeah.
Is it going to be a brutal year? No, because on top of it, Jupiter, which is all about growth, luck, and expansion, is now in the first house of the country. So we're in some kind of uplift for the next, into next year.
Wow.
Yeah, so there's some kind of growth that's going on here. It's an interesting time to be on the planet. Because the last time Pluto and Saturn got together was 1982, and it was recessionary in chunks of the country. And there were a lot of shifts. And when you trace back in time, 38 years, you can see historic history has shown us that events that took place that were reformations of some kind and programs put in place. So it won't be boring in any way, shape, or form.
Yeah.
In 2020.
I think maybe in 2021 we could use a little bit of boring if some's going to come in. I think once we survive 2020, I think a little boring in our country would be nice.
Yeah, things settling a bit.
Yeah. Because I think that you can feel energetically not only the pulse of the country but individual Americans. There's a lot of energetic discord amongst people in this country right now, and you don't see all of it on Twitter, and you don't see all of it coming out of people's mouths. Some of it is simmering inside of people, and I think also just a general nationwide melancholia from 9/11 that we have not survived yet. Sorry, that's your anniversary, but
No, that's fine. No. It still lingers, and there is an incredible polarization that has taken place over the last chunk of years. And when people can get through their egos and move to the middle a little bit and go, okay, let's come together a bit more.
Yeah.
Things will loosen up. But at the same time, when we, and this is important, when we go back to, over the last chunk of years, as we've moved into the theoretic age of Aquarius, this creates a lot of extremes because Aquarius is ruled by Uranus, which is very unpredictable. High highs, low lows, and it's very reactive. And we're having to adjust into that.
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. How often do you check in on the country from an astrological point of view?
Oh, about once a month. I'll look and see what planets are moving. And then the other thing is, which is really beautiful, is for a few months in 2018 and now for the next 7 years, the planet Uranus, which does rule humanitarianism, is in the sign of Taurus. And that's the feminist movement. Because it was in Aries, and everything is very aggressive when Uranus is in Aries. But Uranus and Taurus, we will see so many women in higher positions in companies, politics.
Right.
This is, they don't, if they're doing the Me Too movement to bring that to light, that's one thing. But they're going to get their reward in how they come up from what they've earned. This is a time for women, okay? This is a fabulous time for women to move forward.
Well, and Taurus is also a sign, right, of loyalty.
Yes.
So it's hopefully going to be a time, as I talk about a lot on this show, where women start to get behind each other and have each other's backs so that we can move ourselves forward, not fighting against men, but working with each other so that the elevation is inevitable.
Right, and Taurus is ruled by Venus, goddess of beauty and love.
Right.
So that's just...
I have a Taurus Venus.
You do.
I do.
I brought your chart.
You do. Oh my goodness, things from my chart are coming. All right, we're going to take a quick break because I have a wonderful new spot for the expo. Empowered Living Expo is Sunday, October 13th from 11 a.m. to 9 p.m. at the Newmont Center in Agora Hills. Please come. It's going to be wonderful. I will be there. and I will be doing readings and all kinds of other fun stuff. Come down and see me. We'll be right back after this. It's the Sheena Metal Experience on LA Talk Radio. Quick break, and I'm back with Nick Newmont and other wonderful information from us both about all things spiritual right after this, right here on LA Talk Radio.
You're listening to the Sheena Metal Experience with your host, Sheena Metal, right here on LA Talk Radio.
Irreverent, entertaining, cool. You're listening to LA Talk Radio.
Hi, this is Nick Newmont of the Newmont Center for Balanced Living in Agora Hills. On Sunday, October 13th, we are having our second Empowered Living Expo. At the Expo, experience experts in the healing community, the holistic community, take part in yummy, healthy food. We have incredible speakers such as well-known comic Craig Shoemaker, the lovely Sheena Metal, and other individuals that love to share their expertise and talent with you. And at 7 o'clock, the cover band Time Warp performs, culminating an incredible day of celebration and community involvement. Sunday, October 13th, the Empowered Living Expo in Agora Hills. For more information, call us at 818-865-8770. This is Nick Newmont. I will see you soon.
Alcohol-related harm affects us all. Everyone knows someone who's been touched. Alcohol-related harm ranges from lost jobs to serious mental and physical disease, from ruined family life to property damage, from violent crime to homelessness, death, or prison. Go to alcoholjustice.org and sign up for action alerts and e-news. Then you'll be ready to add your voice to many others when it's time to call for action that will reduce alcohol-related harm.
Guitar, an amazing instrument. It has developed into an incredible voice in today's music. So many types of guitars, so many styles of playing, all sorts of gear. How does one make their voice be heard as a guitarist? My name is Jeff Floro, and welcome to All About Guitar, where we talk tone, we talk technique, we talk gear. So join me 8 p.m. Pacific Time, 11 p.m. Eastern Time at www.latalkradio.com on Channel 1. And let's explore all about guitar.
Hello, fellow culinary curiosities. I'm Tony Spatafora, host of the cooking show Dish It Out. What I love most is to get a few people together, tell a few stories, and get the party started in the kitchen, because really that's where the heart of any party is. If you need some easy, healthy, time-saving tricks, well, come on by our YouTube channel at Dish It Out TV to join in on the laughter, celebrity guests, and overall zaniness. So come hungry, get ready to taste a better life, because we're gonna dish it out.
As difficult as it is to believe, there are places in Africa where human traffickers sell albino children and their body parts for use in magic rituals. Humanity Healing International is actively working in Uganda to change this paradigm. The Albino Rescue Project finds albino children who are at risk and places them in safe schools and environments where they can learn and grow free from fear. To learn more or to sponsor a child, visit humanityhealing.org. Humanity Healing is where your heart is. Om Times Magazine is one of the leading online content providers of positivity, wellness, and personal empowerment. A philanthropic organization, their net proceeds are funneled to support worldwide charity initiatives via Humanity Healing International. Through their commitment to creating community and providing conscious content, they aspire to uplift humanity on a global scale. Om Times, co-creating a more conscious lifestyle.
Irreverent, entertaining, cool. You're listening to LA Talk Radio.
listening to the Sheena Metal Experience with your host, Sheena Metal, right here on LA Talk Radio.
It's the Sheena Metal Experience right here on LA Talk Radio. For more info on the show, latalkradio.com, SheenaMetalExperience.com. Don't forget to email me and let me know what you think of the show. If you're looking for me online, I'm just at Sheena Metal pretty much everywhere. And as you know, I'm the founder of RaisingTheVibration.org, a movement of peace, love, kindness, and unity. That's our nonprofit hub. I am RaisingTheVibration.com, our movement site. Both of those sites, please go there. A lot of my heart lives there. A lot of the teachings, spiritual and humane, of my mom live there. And that was the purpose of founding that on her birthday, November 9th of 2016. She wasn't born in 2016, because if she was, it'd be pretty weird if she was my mom, but she died that year, and that was her birthday. Also, my spiritual practice, I am RaisingYourVibration.com and SheenaMetalSpiritual.com. And of course, very exciting that I'm going to be on Sunday, October 13th from 11 a.m. to 9 p.m. at the Empowered Living Expo at the Newmont Center in Agora Hills. Please come and be a part of the magic. And the fantastic Nick Newmont is with me right now. And we're just kind of solving the world's spiritual problems, aren't we, Nick?
Absolutely.
Just chilling. Just do a little radio and
having
chilling.
fun.
It's my favorite. Little spirit talk. I'm loving it. I hope all of you listening, and thanks to all of you who are in the Facebook chat room tonight. Love you all, and I'm excited that you're participating in this sort of healing circle with us. So I don't normally let people, I don't really encourage people. I don't encourage people to do my stuff, but you were kind enough to run my chart. So lay it on my listeners. What are they in for here?
All right, so we've talked about your natal chart, which we don't have to reiterate that. However, a little bit of astrological lingo. As we age, we are less of our sun sign, and we evolve more into our rising sign.
Oh goodness!
So as you mature, okay, you'll become less Aryan and more Virgin.
Okay.
Okay.
Well, I certainly have been a virgin for the last six years, so that fits.
But when it comes to that activity, Uranus is in your 8th house, which means that intimate activity is going to come and go. When it happens, and
all right.
Ups and
good.
downs. However, next year, the planet Pluto, which makes us become what we need to become, moves into your 5th house, which means there's a transition and transformation of what you aspired to in terms of relationships and men, and this is going to change things. And it's also interesting because Pluto's in Capricorn, your moon's in Capricorn. I don't know what this is going to look like, Sheena, but there's some kind of healing in you that will, because there's spiritual astrology too.
Mm-hmm. Oh,
not just
absolutely.
So there's some kind of healing that takes place in you in the next couple of years that has to do with your relationship with your father.
Oh, yeah. Started already, I think.
So that transformation.
Who was a Capricorn?
Oh, that's interesting.
Yeah.
That's fascinating.
There's caps everywhere. Mm-hmm.
So the shift of the old you in the way you participate in relationships is going away, and there's something new that's transformed.
Absolutely.
Beginning in 2020.
Absolutely.
And I wish you, all the best with that.
Thank you.
Absolutely. And then when you look at your natal chart, and there's the moon, which is in the house of relationships and dating and pleasure and sexuality, and it opposes Jupiter in your social structure, it would create in you a bit of confusion as indulging suitors, okay, that really weren't meant to be romantic partners. Mm-hmm. So in you, we have a little, if they're friends, just leave them as friends.
Right.
Okay.
Right. I always say that I was in 2 5-year relationships and then 2 10 years. The other 10 was almost a 12, and they really all were relationships that should have lasted 3 months.
Mm-hmm.
But
That's in your chart.
that Taurus Venus, it's a clinger. It gets in there and it hangs on, and it just wants that relationship to work so bad. And luckily, we've broken ourselves of that habit, because no more of that.
Yeah. Well, it doesn't serve you. And Taurians, if you know Taurians, if you say the word change to a Taurus.
I know.
You've said the boogeyman is here.
I know, I know. And the boogeyman just keeps coming every day. Yeah, I've gotten a lot better about that. But yes, that was a very hard thing. And wanting every relationship to really be my true love. I mean, so many people I know just wanted to like have fun, and I don't want to get married because I just want to have fun, and I can't imagine just being with one person the rest of my life. And all I ever wanted was that kind of partnership. But now we've grown out of that a little bit into, the reality that you can't make somebody be that because you want them to be that.
True. And you're born with Mars in Libra, which means that you have a spontaneity toward partnerships, but the progressed moon, which is the inner moon, the slow moving moon, is now in your 4th house, which means you have 2.5 years ahead of you of a lot more emotional security.
Yeah.
So that's fascinating. Look, when I look at this, I think that in the next couple of years, you've got serious relationship coming, and as we get into next year in 2021, Neptune, which is all about fantasizing and all that, goes into your house of partnership.
Right.
So in a couple of years, year to year and a half, you fall in love.
Yeah. Okay.
There it is.
I can do that. We'll do that for the first time. Let's try that.
Why not?
That's beautiful.
Yeah. So you've good things coming. And then, of course, as we get into next year, Saturn, which is the reality of everything, goes into your 5th house for 2.5 years. So a lot of focus and attention is on relationship and creativity.
Yeah.
So, and as Jupiter moves into your 5th house, and I would bet money on this as you get into 2021, that there's a book coming from you.
Oh, yeah. Already. A couple of them in there.
So,
yeah, when you said creativity, that was the first thing that I thought. Yeah.
There's Jupiter
working on that now. But at this rate, it might be 2021 before it's done. But working on a couple
and that
of
would be my astrological guess, that it would be 2021.
Yeah.
By the time Jupiter gets over there and fulfills that.
Yeah, and I may have books out before that, but I think the book that you're talking about, that's probably when it will be, the big one.
So and Jupiter in the 5th house could also take you back into the entertainment industry the way, you remember, so you have a lot to look forward to. And it's funny that the 10th house is the house of like grand notoriety. But when you put Saturn, which rules the 10th house, and you're born with it in the 7th, that's a lot of visibility. And it's moving toward your sun. So you're meant to be visible.
Yeah.
Okay. And visible according to how visible you want to be. So if it's in the 10th house, then everybody sees you. In the 7th house, it's okay. I'm going to choose my way, and I'll be as visible as, when I want to be. And then in the 12th house, which is the depths of our psyche, and I call the 12th house the dungeon of the zodiac, you have Pluto and Uranus on top of each other in there. So even though you do what you do spiritually and metaphysically, you're a therapist.
Yeah. Yes.
You are a therapist.
Really, yes. First and foremost, when I was saying that basically at my heart I'm a minister, it's that therapy aspect of it. Yeah.
Sure. Yeah, you're a caregiver, a caretaker, and if you said the following words, I don't care, you would be lying.
Absolutely. Yeah. No.
Because you care.
I care about everybody. Yeah.
True. True. Yeah, you're a big time nurturer. So anything you want to ask about your chart?
I have a question just about astrology in general. What is the difference in your moon and your Venus? Because your moon is your emotionality, right?
Your moon is your habits, subconscious, like that, and emotions. Venus, where Venus is in your chart, it's what you like the most, what you like to do, and it's your aptitude toward love and beauty.
Okay, all right. But it's also can be your relationships, right?
Absolutely.
All right. So
yes.
your Venus and your moon kind of play together in that sense.
They do. Okay. Because your moon
Me with all that Earth.
Right. Your moon's in Capricorn. Your Venus. See, your moon. See, when we look at your chart, and people can't see this, your moon's at 24 degrees of Capricorn, which is Earth. Your Venus is 16 degrees of Taurus. So they trine each other, and that's 8 degrees is a wide orb, but it still counts. So that means your feelings and your aptitude toward relationship flow. But then both of those planets then form a trine or a pyramid to Pluto, Uranus, and your rising sign. So you're born with what's called a grand trine, a grand pyramid in Earth, so that when you put your mind to something that's real, it's gonna manifest, and it manifests easy.
And then that nice big Aries storefront. Aries is so good at being the visual storefront. But I'm so thankful that I have all that Earth, because I have so many friends that are Aries that don't have all that Earth, and they come up with all the big highfalutin ideas for things, and then they never get done. That little Capricorn goes to work and gets stuff done.
Right. And half your sky is Earth.
Yeah.
3 in Virgo, 1 Taurus, 1 Capricorn. So you're good. You're balanced.
Yeah.
You have a couple planets. You have 3 planets in water. Your fire is your Sun and Saturn in Aries. Jupiter is over there in Cancer, which is water.
Right. My Mercury's in Pisces.
Right.
Which is why everything I say sounds like it's from a spiritual self-help book. I mean, I really do speak like a Pisces. I'm no Pisces emotionally, but everything I say is flowery and spiritual. Even when I'm talking, if I was a lawyer, I would be giving a summation, and it would be all about like crystals and moons and love, and that's just how I've always communicated.
Well, when most of the time, because when we're born, Mercury is always fairly close to the sun. It can only be 28 degrees away from the sun. So most of the time, the sun sign and the Mercury are in the same sign. In your case, you're an Aries sun, but Mercury in Pisces. So what we say is, you are an Aries, but you think like a Pisces. You communicate like a Pisces. So you're deep. Where the Aries is really ready, fire, aim. Oops. The Mercury in Pisces says, wait a minute.
Yeah, I could be like that too, especially when I was younger. That's something I've grown out of too. Plus, living inside the uterus of a Scorpio for 9 months, I learned a little bit about how you don't fire and then oops. I didn't listen half the time, but I always say, people always say, are you a Scorpio? And I'm like, no, but I grew inside one and I learned a lot.
Yeah, you grew up in the river Styx.
I did.
Scorpio.
I did. The first word I ever heard was revenge. That's my mom. But you see, because I love my mom so much and we were so close, I find all those weird Scorpio traits that scare other people to be very endearing.
Yeah. Well, if a Scorpio tells you that next Tuesday at 5 p.m. I'm going to come and kick your ass,
yeah,
they'll be there.
Yeah, don't be home.
Right.
Yeah, I always talk about this on the radio, that when I was a kid and other kids were so scared that they would get in trouble at school and they would come home and their mothers would kill them. I was always scared I'd get in trouble at school and I'd come home and tell my mom and she'd go back to the school and kill the teacher. So I had to be careful what I told her, because she would be like, who hurt my child? And then that tail would come out, and sometimes I'd be like, no, it was my fault. She'd be like, it wasn't your fault. And I'm like, no, it really, I did this. I learned to admit guilt, because she would automatically assume it wasn't me and just, she'd be on. So, yeah, but I find those traits in a Scorpio quite lovely, actually.
And if a Scorpio says to you, I don't want to talk about it right now,
you go away.
Leave it alone.
Oh, yes.
Because a Scorpio is brutally honest.
Mm-hmm. And they also need to ruminate and collect their thoughts. Mm-hmm. So the first thing you don't kid is zap, but with a poison tail between the eyes.
Right.
They're it's for your best interest if they say, I need to go away for a while. You let them go.
Like I'm a Libra. I have 4 planets in Libra, but
right.
I have 2 planets in Scorpio.
Yeah.
So don't be fooled by the nice Libran exterior.
Right. Yeah.
But also, see, the thing is, Scorpio rules 8th house things, which include occult practices, rituals, all the predictive sciences. Mm-hmm. It rules deeper aspects of life, those sciences. And so Scorpio is evolved. I'm not saying Scorpios. I'm saying that the concept of Scorpio is very evolved because of what it entails. Mm-hmm. And here's a funny thing, and this is an interesting segue into energy work. The 8th house in astrology, the Scorpion house, and that's where you have your Venus. Mm-hmm. And I could tell you funny stories about Venus and Scorpio and all that. 80% of my clients are women. Fascinating stuff. So the funny thing is, the concept, the two highest forms of energy that humans have are spiritual and sexual.
Right.
But they reside in the same pipeline.
Right.
And in astrology, it's in the 8th house. And in the human form, it's in the 2nd chakra. We just have to learn as responsible adults which energy is appropriate to apply in a certain situation. But that's potent energy.
And the beauty of both those energies at once
Well,
is amazing.
Well, that ultimately becomes tantric sex.
Right.
Seriously.
Yeah.
That's
yeah.
when they coil around, when they kundalini each other.
Yes.
Oh, amazing.
Yeah. Yeah. And to me, everything's spiritual. I mean, I think sex is spiritual, art is spiritual, love is spiritual, cooking is spiritual. I also think cooking is art.
Right.
I mean, to me, everything is art and everything is spiritual. There's that Mercury in Pisces. Everything is spiritual and it's all art. I have a hard time being in things that don't have, there's not a meaning behind them, that I don't feel fired up about. Although I do things every day I don't feel fired up about. But you know, I say to some of my clients, they're like, but I'm so depressed in my job. And I'm like, find a way to love your job. Like, I'll find a way to get fired up about something, even if I don't like it, so that I can make it spiritual and then it's okay.
Yeah.
Doesn't always work. Doesn't always work when it's with people. It always works when it's everything except you can't always make a situation with a person okay.
No, because they have their own power of choice.
Yeah.
But when people start talking about like jobs in a negative way, or they don't like it, you know, be careful what you say, because the universe is going to help you.
Yeah.
You're not happy in your job.
Yeah.
We're going to take that away from you.
Exactly. Yeah. The universe is always listening, like Big Brother. Always listening. And, oh, you don't want that? Okay. We don't have to give that to you.
No, we'll give you something
Yeah.
else.
I tell my clients the same thing all the time. I'm saying, you're saying you want this, but do you see how many times you just told me you didn't want that in the last 5 minutes? Universe is hearing, I don't want it, I don't want it, I don't want it. So they're holding it back.
And I can tell with you that there's times when you talk to the right clients that there's a level of sarcasm that comes into play.
You have to.
Yes.
You have to.
Because sometimes
yeah.
they can't hear the nice words, the
Oh,
nice
yeah.
tone of voice.
I say when I do my videos, my live videos, I'm like, if you don't want me to be honest with you, and I'm not mean. I think
Right.
Psychics have told me like my bedside manner is so amazing compared to some because I'm mostly a therapist. But I'm like, if you don't want me to like tell you the truth and be funny and sometimes screw up and say the F word, like if you want me to just be one of those, hello, welcome to my room, would you like a card? Like I'm not a psychic zombie. Like that's just not me.
No,
like
no.
you get I'm from New England. I'm Irish. Like I'm an Aries. You're gonna get the whole thing. If that's what you're into, if you want to laugh while you get a reading, if you want somebody who's really going to speak to your heart, then you're in the right place.
Some of my mentors, like the ones where, you know, I do house blessings, I do the pentagram ritual.
Oh, wow.
Which is really intense.
That's awesome.
And I'm not Wiccan, but I had to study my mentors were.
Sure.
And there's no margin for error. And I'm going to say this, and I tell my students this because I'm kinder. They were mean.
Yeah.
They were mean. It was like, no, this is how it's done. And
Yeah.
it's like, whoa,
Yeah.
okay, I
Yeah.
got it.
Yeah.
There's an intensity with some people when it comes to ritual. That's
Yeah. Yeah. And I'm not good at ritual. I'm good at like all roads lead to God and let's all just love each other and let's try this or let's try this. I'm not into spirituality living in a box. If that's your thing, that's wonderful. You do your thing. I think that's wonderful. But you know, I'm now at just 2 years into being a minister, and after I got ordained at American Trinity, my ministry was pretty much my nonprofit until I got this gig a couple months ago at Founders. And even though the Metropolitan Community Church is very progressive and very interfaith in its ideologies, although progressive Christian in its actual demonstration, sure. I had this I wanted to put some structure in there, because if I'm going to be a pastor and do a service for them, I wanted to sort of feel like their service, only more interfaith. Structure is not my best friend, given what, you know what I mean? I don't prep speeches. I don't prep talks. I channel and I just start talking. So it's good for me to learn a little structure. I'm fascinated by, especially pagan ritual, right. And how much, and people who practice craft and how much they're really, I mean, my idea of craft is I throw a bunch of stuff in a pot and I start talking to God while it burns. Like I don't, but the detail that some people really, the structure.
Right. Exactly. What you just said, that's so cool. So what's the difference in the way you did that as like somebody has this recipe of this incredible,
Yeah.
and then you throw some vegetables and some meat in a pot and you cook it and it comes out so good.
Yeah, that's how. Yeah, and that's how my mother cooked, and she was amazing. And later in life, my father, when he retired, the Capricorn, he decided he was going to be a cook because he wanted to do everything my mother did, but then 3 steps better. And the poor man lived in a constant state of disappointment because if you're going to try to outdo a Scorpio, you better get up early. And so he said to me once, I need you to tell me how you cook. And I never cooked until I was 36. And I was in between radio gigs, and recipes started coming to me in my sleep, and I would get up and make them. First it was pies, then it was like other things. And I would just get up and make what I dreamed about. And he's like, well, I need to know exactly, the engineer, right? How much salt and how much of this and how much of that. He's trying to make it like an engineering formula. I said, I don't know. I throw a bunch of stuff in a pot and then I throw love into it. And it, completely over this man's head. And he said, that's what your mother said too. And I don't know what that means. And I'm like, well, it's called love, Ray. You should try it.
Well, truly.
It's just about, and that's why I think sometimes if you go to a restaurant, you can order the same thing 3 different times and it tastes different because what's missing is the energy that each chef throws into it. So you're actually eating someone's energy when you eat food they've prepared, which I think is beautiful.
Right. I completely agree. And if someone's in a bad mood and it's the same recipe, that food is not going to taste right.
Yeah, exactly. And it's with everything. I charge and bless crystals for folks. And I'm like, look, my good vibrations crystals, like these things have wandered around in my pockets and gone places with me. And they have my energy in them. That's the beautiful thing I think about. Like I collect spiritual stuff that people give me. I love when somebody says, oh, I have this, here's this, amethyst Ganesh I want you to have. Or, this was my mother's Buddha, because it's got this beautiful, somebody loved this and prayed on it and worshipped it. And it's what a wonderful addition to your family for somebody to give you this magic thing that meant so much to someone. People are like, I'm getting rid of half the stuff in my house. I've got TVs, I've got furniture. I'm like, do you have any spiritual stuff? That's what I want. You know what I mean? What do you got? You got a cross? You got a Star of David? Send it this way. Because there's an energy to what people put into their spiritual stuff that they love.
Truly. Yeah, nobody goes to Best Buy and buys a TV and go, okay, how do we intend it? How do we bless it?
Exactly.
Do we cleanse it?
Right. Will you come over and put an intention in my TV? Yes. May it always get cable.
Exactly. Intention, no Nintendo.
I'm going to bring a sage stick. May it always get the cable. Yeah, I know. But people are different. Some people really want to know, I'm going to put this much herb in here. We're going to put this in here. At 4:00 we do this. When the moon is here, we do that. And okay, great. Although I do new and full moon ceremonies, but I would be lying, Nick, if I said I always do it exactly when it is, because sometimes I'm a busy girl. Sometimes it's a little early, a little late, but it still counts.
It still counts.
Still counts. There's a grace period around the new and full moons.
Right. Yeah. Sometimes I'm not going to do a full moon at 3 a.m.
Right.
Just not going to do it.
Sometimes I do because I feel like it.
Right.
But I even love the energy of that. I do that every new and full moon. People send me their prayers, and I just holler them out loud while I do a ceremony. My very ritual ceremony where I just throw a bunch of stuff in a pot and set it on fire and talk to the universe. So yeah, you're gonna be like,
it's when it comes to magic and we do aromatherapy at our place,
which is wonderful. So people, good for people.
Oh my God, when we're making candles, oh my God. We have all these magic and intentional candles. It's
I love
so
it.
Cool.
And you make them yourself.
Yes.
Love it.
We make them there at the center.
Love it.
And we have a kitchen at the center, so we were either making food or we're making candles.
Oh, that's fantastic.
So it's
all the same. I can't tell which one I want to eat or smell more.
Right. But it's like magic is 90% intention, 10% herbs.
Yeah. Uh-huh.
It's like if you feel strongly about that, and then that's what it's going to do.
Yeah. It's a beautiful thing that comes from you. That's what makes it so magic. Is that people, like sometimes especially at my spiritual services, a lot of my clients will come and bring me things that they made. They're like, oh, I don't know if this is what you, I'm like if it came from you, I like it. Because it's the fact that you took the time to make something for me. And I'll tell you a story. So I have a wonderful client, and she makes these beautiful things out of yarn. And she's brought me, like a pot holder and a little case. And she always brings me something when she comes to the church service. And we were doing a session, and she was telling me how she almost never gives her dolls away, that she makes them, and they're so personal that after she makes them, they're a part of her life, and she doesn't want to give them away. And my mother made dolls. So she comes to my last service, I was so missing my mom that night, and she comes to my service because my mom had no idea I ever wanted to be a minister, and I think she would just loves it. So it was something I wish I could have actually told her when she was embodied. And she says, I have a present for you, and she brings this beautiful gift bag. I open it up, and I pull it out, and it's this beautiful doll with this little knit dress on, and the whole doll's knit, right? So the whole thing's made out of knitting and crocheting, and the doll's dress looks like something my mother would have worn. She's got red hair, which my mother has red hair. And she looks like a doll my mother would have made for herself and then not given to anyone because she loved it so much. And I was just about to say to her that I've been thinking about getting a doll and letting it sort of be a place that mom's spirit feels safe to rest, and that this is exactly the doll that she would love. And she said, oh, I named her Lena because it means, I can't remember what she said it meant. It means, I don't know, I'll have to look it up. And I started crying, and I said, you know, that's my mom's name, right? And she had no, and then everyone's crying. And my best friends there, we're all like, what? Because nobody knew. And, you know, talk about like a beautiful thing for someone to put their energy into and to really channel. I think artists don't realize, and I talk about this on the show all the time when I have artists on here, artists are channelers. When you're writing something, acting in something, I think growing up as an actor, I always say to other actors, where do you think that stuff comes from that you, 1 minute the curtain's going up and you're thinking, oh God, I'm going to forget all my lines. And then you blink your eyes and the curtain's going down and you're like, where did that 2 hours go? It's because you're in the channel then, and spirit, you're working with these other people and everyone's in the channel. And it's just all happening the way it's supposed to happen. You can be, I mean, I've done plays with like a kidney stone, bronchitis, pneumonia. The minute you get on stage, it's gone. Spirit takes over, takes care of you. You get back in your dressing room and you're like, oh, holy shit, I'm going to die. Right. But while you're on stage, Spirit's taking care of you. And so when you're making something for somebody, I mean, I think my mom was like, call it Lena, you know, that Scorpio, name it Lena. So, you know, but I think that's when people give me things that they've made themselves, I think it's so beautiful, or that they've picked out for me and put their intention in.
And it's something that when it comes to like, you know, our daughters for the years of growing up, my wife has always insisted instead of buying a card, they make a card, you know, and they've done some things that were so elaborate that it's like, you know, I'm just reflecting what you're saying.
Yeah,
when
you're
someone
right.
makes something. My younger daughter, she's, you know, in high school, she did a thing for my wife one time for Mother's Day, and she took and created her own Monopoly game called Momopoly.
Oh, that's fantastic.
Oh my God, and it was impressive. And she did a Monopoly game, her own, with her own stuff written and cards and all that.
Wow, that's wonderful.
Monopoly. And that my wife was so touched by that.
That's so awesome. Yeah, it's so beautiful. We forget about that stuff. And there's so much cool stuff we can buy each other now, which is great. But we forget about like personal stuff, like picking out something you know somebody would like because it's the right color, or they gravitate towards those stones, or you know, whatever the something somebody made or you made, or a handmade thing you found at an art fair that you loved, or just, you know, I'm not a big, and people, I understand we live in a busy world. This is just me. I'm not a fan of the gift card. I mean, I get the gift card if you don't know what to get somebody, but find out what somebody wants and get them a thing. You know?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, the gift card is, if it's somebody across the country and
sure, even that. Put something in a box. Throw some tissue paper in there. Send it off.
The thought that counts.
Exactly. So tell me about your book.
Numerology, spelled N-E-W, Merology. And by the way, I know everyone's going, what? Your name's Newmont. No, it's not about my name.
Oh, but that is cute, though.
And then the publisher, when they did it,
oh, I love it.
The N-E-W is in red.
Yeah.
So everyone thinks it's...
I think it's cute, though. I think it's a neat play on words.
It is, but it was meant to be... That book and the system of numerology is new because there's new things in it, and it's the most extensive book on numerology that's ever been written, because of all the good books that are out there, authors choose to end at 49, or the one that has to do with the Tarot, which I like a lot, ends at 78. Goes to 70. My book goes to 99 over 9, which is the highest number of completions. So
I love that.
And it's new because there's concepts in there that are more about modern day. There's old stuff in there because numerology is 4,000 years old, but it was written to be applied to the modern world.
It's beautiful.
And so it's in a way, it's like, numerology for dummies. It's how to, and anyone can do it. I formally started writing it in 2001. It was published in 2003. I was fortunate at that time. They were still sending authors out on book tours across the country, which is an experience I will always remember and cherish. And as they say in the foreword of the book, I appreciate everyone who contributed, but most importantly, and I know there's a lot of my people that are listening, if it wasn't for my clients, that would not happen.
So beautiful.
That is, my clients, my family is my family. I love my family, and they're supportive and everything. But without the clients, without the people that are coming to see you every day, it wouldn't happen.
Yeah.
And I'm so grateful to them.
Do most people come for astrology or numerology or both, or do they come for astrology not knowing they want numerology till they learn about it? I mean,
well, we are a one-stop shopping kind of place. They can get everything.
Right.
But what I like to do is, when it's their first reading, do the full numerological and astrological profile.
Okay.
Do both.
So you do both.
Right. But when they come for subsequent readings, I will update numerologically the personal year cycle. And of course, astrologically, we do the transits and the progressions.
Right.
Compared to where they were 6-8 months ago.
Right.
So I don't duplicate the numerology. And remember something, that sometimes people don't know what time they're born.
Right.
So you can look at an ephemeris and know where the planets were and what sign then. But with numerology, you don't need the time of birth.
Right. You just need the name.
The name and the birth date, and go from there.
Uh-huh.
And you can get a lot out of numerology.
Is it the birth date you do life path by?
Yes.
Okay. All right.
Right.
I know my other ones. I have them at home. I don't know. I know my life path is an 11, but I don't know what my other two are, because there's 3, right?
Yeah. There's your birth path number, which comes your birth date. Then you get something from the vowels of the name, which I call it the conscious desire, realizations of youth. Then the consonants give you more the latent realizations.
Okay.
Then the full name is a label. And here, I always explain this, that your birth path number and your name value 90% of the time don't match. And so what that creates is, because your name sends out a vibration,
right?
Because like, you don't introduce yourself as April 2nd.
Right.
You introduce yourself by a name that creates a vibration. And so
right.
people have to understand the value of their name, because that's how people read them.
Sure.
It's not who they are. And then their dharma numbers in there, their karmic lessons.
Right.
So there's a lot.
Wow.
And then, of course, predicting.
Right.
Because you can predict the year, the month, the day. Like, you could be having a good month and go, oh, Nick, yesterday. And I go, oh, it's because it was this kind of day, which is challenging.
Wow.
My wife will ask me on a weird day, she'll go, what are my numbers today?
Oh, that's fantastic. Yeah, I know how to do that a little bit with astrology, but I don't know as much about numerology.
It's actually easier. That's the funny thing. It's easier to do. It's not as much.
Right, because there's only 9 numbers.
Right.
So you're making combinations of that.
Right.
It's not like all the different houses and the stuff stuck in the places. And
you don't have to know glyphs, planetary glyphs, astrological sign glyphs.
Right.
You don't need to know the symbolism. You just work with numbers.
Do you think they're just as accurate as each other?
Yes. Yes. In fact, we have time for this story? Oh,
yeah.
We're good.
Yeah.
All right. So back in 1996, somewhere in there, I was in a networking group. It's funny when you're a psychic in a networking group.
I know, right?
Okay. So the speaker that day was the stockbroker, and at that point the Dow Jones Index was at 7,000, whatever, and he said that by May the Dow Jones would hit 8,000, and I did calculations right there, and I said, look, I'm going to make you a bet that if it's May, anytime in May, you win. And I calculated July 16th specifically, and there's the way I do it. And it turned out that July 16th of that year was the first time the Dow Jones had hit 8,000.
Wow.
And we bet a drink.
Wow, nice.
Yeah, so you can be hardcore specific with numerology.
Wow. And do you use it for the stock market yourself? Do you use astrology and numerology?
Yes, absolutely.
All right.
Yeah. In fact, there's things that were very key that as we were going into 2000 and things I saw, especially the NASDAQ stocks, I did tell a lot of people, said, look, this is what I'm seeing, and it's your choice to sell or stay in. But this is what I'm seeing, and I'm not comfortable with it, and I'm getting out. And it did dip.
Wow.
Yeah, so there's a lot of tendencies to be studied, and it's not the kind of thing where an amateur would do that. You really have to know what you're doing.
Oh, of course.
And to look at these things.
Oh, yeah.
Because,
Exactly.
But it's very accurate.
Yeah. I mean, being an astrologist and a numerologist, that's its whole thing. Like, I know enough about it to help me through some readings with folks, like the basics.
Sure.
But I don't know anywhere near the kind of stuff that you know. That's its whole thing. That alone should fill up every bit of RAM in your hard disk. I can't believe your brain has room for anything else except for these two things.
Well, no. Well, at some point, it's just going to explode.
It's going to explode in numbers and letters, and little planets are going to come out your ears.
Like Mars attacks.
Exactly. Exactly. A little Virgo's going to come out, and a Scorpion, and all kinds of stuff's going to, little Minotaur, all kinds of stuff's going to come out of there. And then hypnotherapy, how long have you been doing that?
Since 92.
Okay.
Yeah.
What kind of folks are hard to hypnotize?
Extremely high analytical.
Okay.
Because they have a fear of losing control.
Yeah.
But if you can get them under, they go way out. But that fear
They're probably so thankful not to be in control for 1 minute.
Oh, yeah. It's torture.
Once you get them out, yeah.
But they're hard. Very hard.
Yeah. Do people fear that you'll never bring them back?
No.
They're going to wind up in white slavery somewhere, clucking like a chicken?
No, the big disservice is when people have watched stage hypnosis.
Yeah.
And confuse that with clinical hypnotherapy.
Yeah.
It's not what we do is not a joke.
Right. You don't make anybody a chicken.
Mm-mm.
No.
No, they're already chicken.
That's fantastic. So, what do you use hypnotherapy for?
Success enhancement, removing fear, stress management, anxiety, pain management, pre and post surgery, fear of flying, reconditioning, parental upbringing. When they have stuck in habits or grief, just about everything.
Everything. Yeah. Wow. Are you an easy subject yourself?
Oh my God, yes.
Nice.
Oh my God.
Do you love to be hypnotized?
Yeah. Yeah, I have a friend that I trade with, and what's funny is I'm very suggestible. So one night before bed, my wife said, "I want you to hypnotize me for," and I'm working on her. Almost, she was so mad later. I went out.
Oh, wow.
I knocked myself out.
Oh, wow. Then how do you get yourself back?
Well, then I just woke up.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it wears off, and then you wake up.
Okay. Oh, so you actually hypnotize people till they go to sleep.
There's 3 stages of hypnosis. One is like a light meditative state
Okay.
where you're talking to them. They're relaxed, they're breathing. Then second stage is when they start to drift in and out.
Okay.
Third stage hypnosis is when you knock them out, where there's something really traumatic in there where you've got to talk to the subconscious and not have them present when you work on that.
And then you just talk to the subconscious and there's no reaction coming from them because they're technically unconscious.
Well, but the funny thing is they do hear to some degree because people will twitch, what are called abreactions.
Right.
And you'll see a leg twitch or a finger twitch or something like that. So you can tell they hear on some level.
Interesting.
But that's the safe way to pull that stuff out.
Wow.
Without traumatizing them.
It's wonderful. So tell us a little bit about me, all my listeners, a little bit about what the expo is going to be like on the 13th.
The expo will be similar to other holistic expos, like the old Conscious Life Expo,
Sure.
Whole Life Expo from way back, where we will have people doing demonstrations in their booth of different kinds of, whether it's massage or Reiki or breath work, cupping.
Yeah.
You
Beautiful.
know, we have Dr. McGuire's Chinese medicine and acupuncture. We'll have vendors there. So we'll have people who sell oils or sell crystals or sell
Sure.
whatever. And we know all these people. These are not strangers that are coming in. They're all within our realm.
Wow.
And we have a handful of really good readers, including you.
Including me. I'll be there.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, thank you.
And you get my office, my personal office.
Oh, wow. How did I get that lucky?
You earned it
Oh,
having me here today.
wow. Okay.
So, and I'm not doing personal
I'll see you
readings
at my office, which is actually Nick's office.
Yep, it's
Wow.
fun. And the restaurant in Thousand Oaks called Grab a Green, which is all healthy.
Beautiful.
They're catering the event, and there will be some non-healthy, yummy stuff, like
Okay.
brownies and
All right.
stuff.
For people who insist on being not healthy.
And then at the end of the night, at 7, then the cover band
Time Warp.
Thank you. Time Warp comes on and plays. So it evolves into like a sort of a festival, like a party.
It's fantastic.
But when we did it in May, I mean, the turnout was phenomenal. And there are speakers who will speak for an hour on their topic. Like
It's
I said,
wonderful.
Craig Shoemaker is going to be there.
Yeah.
And fascinating individuals. So it's just come out and play and enjoy yourself and meet people.
I love that.
Yeah.
Yeah, Craig's been here a lot, and we talk about sort of how he's moved into the spiritual world a lot. In his
Laughter heals.
Yeah, exactly.
Right.
Yeah, and also his work of realizing that he was healing people and sort of stepping into being a healer.
Right.
He's due to come back. I'll have to get him back on here.
Yeah. He's fun.
He's
a lot of
wonderful.
fun.
He's a great guy. What a joy to have you here.
Thanks so much.
Where can people find you and find out everything about you and get everything they need to get from you?
They first of all, online, they can go to nicknewmont.net, or they can go to newmontcenter.com, NEWMONT. They can, if they want to email me, that's nnewmont@gmail.com.
Beautiful.
And NEWMONT. They can pick up the phone number on the website, and of course, if you want, friend me on Facebook.
Nice.
I
I just did.
Thank you. And I put out a lot of info, astrological info, and updates, and come and check us out.
I love that. Do that, everybody. And if you missed any of those links, SheenaMetalExperience.com, LATalkRadio.com. Send me an email, and I will gladly forward all the info for Nick and the expo over to you. Of course, my movement of peace, love, kindness, and unity, raisingthevibration.org, and I am raisingthevibration.com, and my spiritual practice, SheenaMetalSpiritual.com, and I am raisingyourvibration.com. If you want to attend my webinar tomorrow night, meetthecrystals.com, and also come out to Saturday Night Spiritual on Saturday night at the Founders MCC Church. We'll make a weekend of it. Saturday, come to the service. Sunday, you can come to the expo. Can people come to the expo?
You mean in October? Yeah.
Okay.
Absolutely.
Oh, good. Okay. When you say the public, it was a lot of people you knew. I'm like, oh, can I bring people?
Oh,
Can people come?
Bring everybody.
Okay.
Tell your friends.
Okay, good. So we'll make a weekend of it. Saturday night church, Sunday spiritual expo all day. Sounds like a great weekend to me.
Sounds wonderful.
So if
Thank
you missed those links, please, Nick, thank you so much for being here. And everybody, it's the Sheena Metal Experience on LA Talk Radio, and you know what happens here. I know you do. Every Monday through Friday, 5 to 7 p.m. Pacific time, we rip the veil off the human sideshow and expose those big old Homo sapiens at their most bizarre sometimes and at their most beautiful on every single show. And you know it's my show, and it is in fact my show, but what it really is, always and forever, my friends, it's your experience. Thanks for listening. Have a great night. I'll see you all tomorrow right here on LA Talk Radio.
Irreverent, entertaining, cool. You're listening to LA Talk Radio.